Beaver, you come on down out of that tree or I'm coming up there after you.
I'm going to stay here until I die, and then you'll be sorry.
All right.
Well, all right, Beaver. If you want to stay up there, I guess your father and Wally and I will just have to go home and have supper. You're going to leave me here alone? Well, that's what you want. But if it rains, I'll get all wet. Yes, I guess you will. Maybe I better come home and get my raincoat. And then come back up here.
What a wonderful family that was, and what a wonderful time that was. Jerry Mathers as the Beaver. Well, that was, I'm not sure what year that was. I guess we'll find out. But today is 1994, and our special guest today. Welcome to the Van and Connie Show and to Des Moines, Jerry Mathers. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, good to have you here, Jerry.
How did you get that job, anyway?
Well, actually, I'd been an actor since I was 2 years old. So,
oh, my goodness.
Before I did Leave It to Beaver, I did probably about 30 movies and 150 TV shows.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Leave It to Beaver, though, was a cattle call, so there were about 5,000 people on the interview, and they just kept pairing up people. They'd say, okay, these two boys look like brothers, your eyes are the same color, your hair is the same color. And so when the smoke cleared, I finally got the job. Oddly enough, after they did all that, we did the pilot, and we came back about 8 months later to start actually doing the series, and the boy that they had picked for Wally had grown to be 6'3".
Wow.
So then they went out and found Tony Dow, and we started all over again.
Wow.
Oh, bizarre. Now, how old were you when you started the show?
I was actually 7 when I did the pilot, and by the time we actually started doing the series, I was 8, almost 9.
Oh, my goodness.
Not a lot of people know that you were born in Iowa.
Sioux City, Iowa. My
you weren't
father,
there very long, but...
No, I was there about 6 months. My dad came back. He went to Morningside College, and he graduated right after the war. He was the valedictorian there, and then he went out to USC on the GI Bill. So he took the family and moved us to California.
Well, you know, a show is a classic show when you keep seeing the thing run over and over and over, and that's what's happened to that show.
Well, it not only runs in this country like that, it runs in 40 different countries and 30 languages.
Oh, my gosh.
So it runs all over the world like that.
What do you think when you sit and watch, I mean, maybe you don't sit and watch these shows, but what do you think when you look back at that?
Well, for me, it's very special because it's like watching a week in my life. So to be honest with you, I don't, every day they're on in Los Angeles, I don't sit there and turn them on. My kids watch them.
That's probably healthy.
Yeah, well, my kids watch them. So, you know, I'll look at them and say, oh, yeah, that's the week that maybe a special actor was there, a different director. You know, we had a lot of different animals. And I'll say, oh, yeah, I remember that. That was the time that the horse or the donkey or the monkey or the parrot was there. And so I remember all the things that went on.
Is that special to your kids? I mean, Connie and I are on radio and TV, and I know to my kids, I don't know about yours, but, you know, it's no big deal. It's always been that way.
Well, that's the way with my kids. I mean, my oldest son is 16, but Leave It to Beaver's been on since 1957. So, you know, he's just grown up with that. I think he thinks that everybody's parents are on TV.
Did you think at the time, did you know at the time this was kind of a special show? Did you get a lot of response right away to it?
Well, very definitely. I mean, we were never, to be honest with you, one of the top 10 shows. We were always in the top 20.
Oh.
So it was all, I mean, Tony Dow and myself used to get between 5,000 and 8,000 fan letters every week.
Oh, my God.
So the show was very, very popular.
Right.
But no one knew that it wouldn't be like all the other shows and just be on for the time it was on and then kind of vanish into history.
Yeah.
But what happened was, it was always thought of as an adult show, and so when it was on prime time, it was on Tuesday nights at like 9 o'clock. So most kids really didn't watch it. As soon as it went into reruns, it went on in the morning, like at 7:30 before school and maybe 3 or 3:30 after school. And because of that, it picked up a whole new audience, and that's when it became really as popular as it is now.
Wow.
When you were in school on the show, your teacher was Miss Landers, but you had a teacher before that, too, didn't you?
Miss Canfield.
Miss Canfield, that's right. Yeah.
We had to switch. I mean, it was 6 years. We had at least 2 teachers.
Oh,
I got another thing I got to clear up, because I tell people about this, and they say, nah, you're not. You had a friend, not only Larry Mandela, but you had a friend named Harry, who had glasses, and he had, I remember one time his stomach was growling, and he said, Beav, I got to go home and take my rumbling pills.
That's probably true. I remember Harry. I can't remember his real name. He didn't work in very many of the shows. What they'd do is they'd find certain kids that really worked better and could study the lines. I mean, it's a pretty grueling schedule. We were working basically from 8 to 5. 5 days a week.
Wow.
That's a lot for an 8-year-old.
Well, and plus when you go home at 5, it's not like you're free for the day, because you go home and then you have to memorize all your lines for the next day.
Wow.
So they got a few kids like Larry Mondello and Richard and Whitey that could do that every week and come back and know their lines, and a lot of the kids couldn't, and so they'd work in 3 or 4 shows and they'd have to be replaced.
Was it on just once a week when it was running?
Right, it was on, I think, Thursday nights.
But you had to rehearse every day of the week?
We shot for a week. What we'd do is we'd come in on Monday and we'd read the script, and we'd just basically sit around a table with the producers and read it over and over again, and they'd listen for little things that didn't sound right, things they wanted to change, and then they'd give you rewrites the next day. So you'd come in that day on Tuesday, and we'd block it, and they'd have any major prop or animal that was in the show just to make sure that whatever they'd written could really happen if somebody was supposed to fall down or whatever, because a lot of times it didn't. And then they'd rewrite it, and you'd get new lines, and then you'd have to be in on Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock knowing the new lines that you probably didn't get till 10 or 11 that night.
Wow, something else. Well, we're going to continue our conversation with Jerry Mathers. We have a lot more questions for him. Stay with us.
My favorite Leave It to Beaver episode was when he took his money and he bought himself a bow and arrow set, and he didn't want to go home because he was so humiliated, so he just walked around the block and then finally went home crying. It was my favorite one. It was very funny.
My children used to watch it. And I have a stepson who looks just like him. We call him the Beast.
Combining American barley malt from the Red River Valley with fresh hops from the Pacific Northwest, our Old Depot premium beers are handcrafted in small batches in historic Adel, Iowa, and delivered to your favorite store or pub fresh from our brewery. Whether you choose Old Depot Lager, Old Depot Ale, our lower calorie Old Depot Light, or our dark rich Old Depot Porter, you'll find Old Depot beers are import quality but made right here in Iowa. Look for Old Depot premium beers, a new product based on the fine old tradition of the brewer's art.
The past 2 months were record-breaking. We're out to break another one by handing out our record number of keys in February at Noble Ford Mercury. Turn up the heat. 500 new and used cars, trucks, and vans. Hot. Discounts up to $5,000. Hotter. Interest rates that'll fry the competition. Hottest. Red hot chili every Saturday. Don't get left in the cold. $5 million worth of red hot deals are waiting for you now at Noble Ford Mercury, Indianola.
Good nutrition starts with all natural foods from Heartland of Iowa. We use our own pure virgin water in everything we offer, like Vim Sports Drink, the perfect refresher, Kidsy, the fruit drink both mom and the kids can agree on, and Kidsy peanut butter bread, apple bread, sour wheat French bread, and tomato zucchini soup bread. For breakfast, make it Bob's Best cinnamon rolls and coffee cakes. Virgin water makes it all taste great. Ask your food store for the all-natural foods from Heartland of Iowa.
I wear glasses. I have to, but I don't have to spend 2 weeks' salary on eyeglasses at Payless Optical. Payless Optical has any frame in the store complete with your single vision prescription lenses for only $24.95. Even designer frames with lenses are just $24.95. Solid dark sunglasses? Just $24.95. Payless Optical has a huge selection of frame styles, and all that money you save, you can buy something else that adds to your air of sophistication.
Payless Optical in the Apple Valley Shopping Center, Des Moines.
If I could ask Jerry Mathers one question, it would be, what did Ward do?
The parents were always so perfect, you know. Were they really that perfect? Or were they like to work with off stage?
How come June always wore those pearls when she's running the vacuum cleaner and those high heels?
Did he really hate Eddie?
I suppose I'd like to know, did he get a lot of chicks being the Beaver?
We're talking to Jerry Mathers today, and maybe he can answer some of those questions from the folks at Stellus. Let's see. What did Ward do?
No one knows what Ward did. It's
not even you?
Not even me. There's a book called The World According to Beaver, and it's put out by Bantam Book, and it's a synopsis of every Leave It to Beaver episode. And so they had 3 senior editors watch every Leave It to Beaver and do it like a debate, and they'd take notes, and then they'd write everything down. So there are like 17 references in all 234 shows as to what Ward did. He had like his secretary in New York. He had home offices in Hong Kong and London, and so there's all these things. But never really said what he did. I think the reason for that is they didn't want to pin him down in case while they were writing, if in the next show they wanted to say, oh, he's an insurance agent, he's a lawyer, he's an accountant. But they never got to that show, and so they just never said. They made vague references to what he did. The only thing they really said he did is he and Fred Rutherford used to go to the salt mines.
They worked together.
They worked
Ruffy's dad.
Yeah, Ruffy's dad, and they'd say, we're going to the salt mines. So that's the only reference that they really, maybe they worked at the salt mines, I guess.
Well, I guess that could be anything, really.
What about June's pearls? You hear about that all the time. She was doing things
always
in
looked
the pearls
beautiful,
and dress.
yes.
That's more of a technical reason than anything else. Barbara Billingsley was a very, very skinny New York model, and because of her blonde hair, when they lit her, it would cause shadows with these two muscles in her neck right here.
Really?
And it made her look like she had a tracheotomy. And so to break up that shadow, they put the pearls across it.
Wow.
Oh, is
and
that
because she was
interesting?
wearing pearls, and they'd put her in high heels.
How close were you to Hugh Beaumont and Barbara Billingsley?
Well, they're very, very good friends of mine. I think probably for other people to be able to relate to it, it'd probably be like a very special teacher that you had, that you saw every day, and that was your very good friend. I mean, people say, well, we're like real parents. No, I mean, each one of us had our own family, and I knew Barbara's family, and I knew Hugh's family, but they were more very special friends, maybe like an aunt or an uncle.
Mm-hmm. All right, what about, did you really hate Eddie Haskell?
Actually not. Ken Osmond is probably one of my best friends. He and I do a lot of things together. We do a lot of personal appearances and charity work together.
Is he still a police officer?
Actually, he's retired. He spent 18 years on the LAPD, and he had a disability retirement. He was shot in the line of duty. He was chasing a taxi cab, and he went up to get the guy, and the guy shot him twice in the chest and once in the belt buckle. But it wasn't even the belt buckle. It's that little thing that goes down that holds the little thing that holds your belt.
That stopped the bullet?
That stopped the bullet. Wow. And so he was retired. In fact, he was on Top Cops. It was enough of an adventure that they had one of his episodes on Top Cop last year.
Did you ever want to be Eddie Haskell? Did you ever get tired of your role as the Beaver?
Well, you know, as an actor, he's probably got the best lines. I mean, he has
was a perfect guy for that role, though, wasn't he?
Well, no, as I say, he's a very different person. He's probably, you know, when
He's a good actor.
But I mean, he was such a good actor.
That's the thing. He's such a good actor. And you know, when he was doing his police work, I said, why would you want to do that? Because he's about 130 pounds. He's a motorcycle officer, and he was in the worst part of L.A. And I said, why would you want to do something like that? I mean, you know you're going to get hurt sooner or later.
Not a big guy.
No, and he said, but a tough guy. And he said, you know, somebody has to do it, and I think that's something I can give back to my community. So that's the kind of guy he is in real life.
When Connie and I were on the radio this morning, we were mentioning the fact that you were going to be on the TV show with us, and a woman called in and she said, hey, ask him this. I saw a movie, and I thought sure that the credit said Jimmy Mathers.
Well, that's my brother, and he's actually a director of photography. So if she saw it, it was probably, he does a lot of low-budget features, a lot of horror movies, and a lot of things that go directly to video. So that's probably what she saw. In fact, people come to me all the time and do the same thing. They'll say, are you a director of photography? Because I saw such and such a movie, and I saw the name Mathers, and they just say, you know, they see a J, so it's Jimmy, and they say, oh, it must be Jerry.
Right. Do you have a favorite episode, or?
Not really. I'll tell you why, because each one just brings back, it's like a week of my life. And I remember all the special things that happened on that one. So I have a whole lot of special episodes.
I think the one that made me laugh the hardest, the line was, you had gone over to Larry Mondello's house, and for some reason, you were in his sister's room, and you were looking at her cosmetics, and you said, gee, Larry, that's junk my sister puts on her face. When you look like my sister, you have to put that on your face.
There's a lot of truism is what Larry Mondello says sometimes.
Oh, that's great.
Did you fall into a position where you were typecast because of the success of that show?
Well, fairly much. I mean, it is typecasting in a way, but you know, that's what all actors want. All actors want to be known for a certain part or a certain type of part. So I'm just pretty much the all-American boy, and now I've grown into the all-American dad. So I work all the time as an actor. I'll be on Phenom, which is one of the shows that's I just finished out on Friday.
Great.
So I work all the time as an actor.
Well, we'll be back in just a minute. We're going to talk about some of the follow-up work that you've done. In fact, you did the part of Beaver is the Dad.
That's right.
Show. We'll get to that here in just a few minutes on the Dan and Connie Show.
One fish slips in the ocean, one fish slips in the sea. It's one fish as kids love. It's Betty Camps for me. And me. It's Betty Camps for me.
Your kids will love the great fresh taste of Vandy Camps. No wonder they're #1 in families with kids.
It's Betty Camps for me.
And now introducing shrimp with all the great taste of Vandy Camps.
Wow, Diane, talk about selection. I had no idea you had this much children's furniture here at Sweet Dreams.
Thanks, Connie. Let me show you around. From cribs to bunk beds, Sweet Dreams has furniture that grows with your children.
Madeline, this stuff is going to last till your kids' kids have kids.
Our unique collection of bedding reflects your child's personality.
Well,
boy, Maggie, the next time I send you to your room, you're never going to want to come out. Sweet Dreams also has a great collection of toys and gifts. Come to Sweet Dreams, the one-of-a-kind store for your one-of-a-kind child.
86 and Douglas in Urbandale.
Fellas! Are your best buddies trying to tell you something? Yes, Dentyne freshens your breath and makes your mouth taste clean, not sweet. So brush your breath clean with sweet-tasting Dentyne.
Why is Tux medicated pads the brand of hemorrhoid relief hospitals trust most? Because when hemorrhoids flare up, Tux provides soothing, cooling relief on contact. Tux, the brand hospitals trust most.
You know your NyQuil works. What'd you do? You tried the latest thing, so you coughed all night. Got no rest. Ended up a zombie. And your proposal to the world's most demanding boss? Postponed until tomorrow, which means you can take NyQuil tonight. You're stupid, Dave, but lucky.
Vicks NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so you can rest medicine. Also new NyQuil hot therapy.
Welcome back. It's a pleasure to have Jerry Mathers, the Beaver, with us here today. I went to Universal Studios, and I think they showed me your house, didn't they?
Probably. It was built in 1932 or 33 for Bedtime for Bonzo.
Is that right?
So it was Marcus Welby's house.
I was going to say, it's also Marcus Welby's
Adam
house.
12 arrests people there all the time. So it's a whole street. It's a street of about 16 houses that are contemporary, and they have other streets. They have a New York street, which are basically tenements. But on Colonial Street is where the Leave It to Beaver house is.
You did a new generation of shows where you were the father, and it was kind of a follow-up, I guess you could say, to Leave It to Beaver.
The new Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
Got a real original name there, but it was a good time. We got two boys that I had that were basically the age of Wally and the Beaver, and Brian Levant, who was the head writer off of Happy Days. And we did that for 8 years, and there are 120 episodes of that.
Wow. Now, do you still see any of these folks? Hugh Beaumont and
Hugh
Tony
Beaumont
Dow?
died.
Oh, Hugh Beaumont,
He
I'm
died
sorry.
in 1982.
I guess I didn't know that.
But I see a lot of them. As I say, we worked together for 8 years.
Right.
And what we do is about once every 6 to 8 months, we rent a bowling alley in Los Angeles. And we all get together and we talk about who got married, who had a baby, what's going on with everybody.
That's nice.
Do you ever think about the fact that if this show was done in 1994 and was as popular as it was in 1957, that would you be a multi-mega billionaire, do you suppose?
Yeah, but
I mean, this is like baseball players. The baseball players of the past didn't make the money they make today.
Well, to be honest with you, it's very comparable money. I think what people don't realize is, in those days, if you wanted to buy a Porsche was about $1,000 to $1,500. That same car today would be $60,000.
Yeah.
Houses you could buy in Los Angeles for $4,000 are probably $250,000 to $1 million today.
Mm-hmm.
So the money was comparable. It's just that when you look at the figures, you don't realize what you could buy with those 1957 dollars.
So tell us about your family now. Let's see, you have 3 children?
I have 3 children. I have a 16-year-old son, I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I have a 12-year-old daughter.
Oh, that's nice. And let's see, do you live in Los Angeles area?
I live in Los Angeles. I'm the president of a computer company. I have a catering company. We cater a lot of the rock videos and a lot of the movies out there.
Oh, is that right?
My wife basically does that. I'm just kind of the overseer. I'm the ogre that looks at the books and tells her she's spending too much money. So I have several businesses in Los Angeles, and I still work as an actor and a director.
You spent a little time in Des Moines before. You said you visited here before.
Right. I come in here for a lot of charity events. I'm very active against anti-drug programs, so I come in here for Athletes Against Drugs.
Oh, that's great.
That's great. It's a real pleasure to have you with us here today. I know a lot of people are just doing it on about having you here, and it's an honor to have your visit today.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much
My
for being
pleasure.
here. We'll be right back.